Hey everybody, thank you for joining me for this lovely yoga practice designed for those of you who maybe cycle, run, spin, or any form of sports where you don't actually stretch out your legs. So whether you play football or whatever it is you might be doing, where you need to stretch out hamstrings, thighs, glutes, etc. A little bit of upper body and neck stretching as well, but it's a short sequence that we'll do together to help us to either pre-stretch before exercising or post. You can use it for both. So join me on the mat. The only props you may need today are either 2 blocks or you can also use books. If you don't have those, you can also do one of the poses on a step, and I'll explain when we get there. So we're going to start our practice standing in what we call Tadasana, mountain pose, just standing upright. Taking a moment to just sense into the breath in the body, how we're feeling. If we're post-exercise, we might feel quite stressed or tired. If we're pre, we might be still feeling quite chill. So just take your time to notice where your breath is in your body, and can you slow that breathing down? Nicely in and out through the nose. So check your breathing in and out through your nostrils the entire time, rather than panting through your mouth. So we're going to work up the body from the feet all the way up to the crown of the head, and just gently starting with our ankles. So we're going to start to rotate into right or left ankle, creating a bit of movement and mobility into the ankle joint. Try to maintain the ball of the foot on the floor and just see if we can shimmy that ankle so the heel is leading. We'll go back round the other direction. My right ankle is definitely a lot looser than my left. Good. And we'll swap and go to the other foot. So bringing circles, thinking about circling the ankle joints. The heel is moving and you're encouraging a bit of release in your feet. We don't stretch our feet enough. And if we're in shoes, especially if we're running or we're playing football, make sure you go both directions of those ankle circles. Good. We can end up having really stiff ankle joints. Lovely. Now stretching out the ankle, so the top of the ankle. Now you can just bring the top of the foot down and stretch and push. So you get a nice stretch all the way down from your ankle joint. Try to avoid sickling your foot. So keep everything nicely in line. This may feel a little bit challenging, so you might just want to bring the foot behind and see what stretch you can get, maybe leaning back. So just be nice and easy on your body. You might again just be able to push down and forward, or you might need to bring the foot back and lean back. We'll swap and do the other foot. So we bring the top of the foot down, maybe push down, or I've got lovely cracking in my toes. Or again, just behind, maybe lean back slightly, or it can even come forward. So whatever feels nice with the ankle. Good. And bringing the foot back down to the floor, you might just push through the feet. So getting a little bit of a toe stretch, just push through your feet. Lovely. Now this is where we might need a little bit of a block or a book or something you can pop your heels off the edge basically, so you can do this on a step. So we're going to step our feet up onto our platform that we're working with. I'm just using 2 cork blocks here. And we'll bring the right ball of the foot towards the back edge of either the step or the block or whatever we're using, and then drop the heel off the edge. Now this is going to be working into the soleus muscle, so below kind of where you think of your calf muscles, so a little bit lower down into this area at the bottom and into your Achilles tendon. We don't stretch this part enough. I'm guilty of not stretching this part enough for myself as well. It can get very tight for me, especially after spinning, being on a bike for an hour. This can be really nice. Good, let's swap and do the other foot, so grounding the other foot in. If you're on a step, just be careful. Don't fall down the stairs, please. And then just drop that left heel off the edge. Getting a lovely stretch into the soleus muscle, the Achilles tendon. It might just feel quite nice to feel into this part of your body, especially if you do a lot of running. It's good to give your body the mobility that it actually needs in order to keep the muscles working functionally. Good, bring both feet back on and we'll step off our blocks. Bring the right foot in front of the left Stagger your feet a little bit, and we'll bend the back left knee. Again, we're still getting into the Achilles tendon, but we're also getting a nice stretch into the ankle joint here as well. So we're kind of working into the ankle joint. You might then want to bring the weight forward a little bit, if that feels quite nice, to bring a little bit of a stretch into the front hamstring. And then we'll swap the bends. We'll bend the front knee and push into the back leg. So you're getting a stretch into more of the calf area, the thicker kind of bigger area of the calf. If you need more, just step the foot a bit further back if you're not feeling it. If you want to feel a little bit further down into the calf. And again, so we bend the back knee, straight in the front. You can lean back or you can lean forward. If it's a bit tricky on the balance, just grab hold of something. So on the side, I've got a radiator here, or you can, again, just hold onto a wall. Straighten the back leg, bend the front knee and push into that back heel. Heel doesn't necessarily have to stay on the floor, so if you want to step even further back and your heel comes off the floor, that's fine. Feet come back together, take a moment, and we'll swap sides. So the right foot goes back, we bring the foot into the floor, maybe bend the back knee first, see if there's more or less ankle mobility on this side. We might just lean forward, a little bit of a hamstring stretch. And then we can straighten the back leg, bend the front, and again push into that back right heel so you feel the stretch going down the back of the right leg. And we swap, bending the right knee, straightening the left. I'm a bit wobbly today. And then we straighten the right, bend the left. Good, bring the feet back together. So we're going to take a big step back with the left leg into a lunge. Now you can bring your blocks if you're working with yoga blocks for support, making sure that you just allow a little bit of exploration in this area. So just have a play, have a move around. It doesn't have to be rigid and linear movements. Just see what's going on in the hip, especially if we spend a lot of time sitting. Cycling also can be very strong on the hip flexors and running. So think about these movements that actually encourage a lot of lift and pull of that leg. So stretching out can be really important in these parts of your body. Good. Take another breath here. Lovely. Now we're going to push the weight backwards so that our left hip is stacked right over our left knee. Hands can come to the hips. And all I want you to do is tuck the tailbone. So you should get a little stretch really high up nicely into the top of the hip flexor, which can feel quite nice. If you do need a little bit more, you can just slightly shift forward, just slightly. But generally speaking, the tucked tailbone does enough of that stretch. And we breathe here. Nice, slow, steady breath. Good. Just feeling into where it's starting to open up. Let's take another breath here. And we can gently ease back onto our blocks and move around. If you do need some cushioning underneath your knee, by all means take it, especially if you're working with solid floors. So if you do need a little bit of softening, please know that you can take blankets or pillows underneath that knee. Lovely. So we can shift our blocks forward and we can come onto our hands and slide the right knee towards the right wrist and either slide the left leg back into a pigeon pose, you're getting a glute action on the right leg, or deer, where you bend the back knee, so in more of a hurdle shape with the legs, and you can bring the weight over the shin or the weight can come over the knee. I'm going to stay in pigeon pose, but be very mindful, especially if we are stretching after exercise, you might find that your muscles have contracted slightly, so you might not be able to go as deep into the poses as perhaps you usually can when your muscles are more relaxed. If you're doing this before, again, just be very gentle, you don't overstretch things if you're not warm. So just movement, gentle easing in is great. It doesn't always have to be really deep into poses to be beneficial for our bodies. Good. We'll take another couple of breaths here. Now, if you want a little bit more, you can tuck the back toe, lift the back knee or thigh off the ground to get even deeper stretch into the hip flexor. And if you want a little bit more in that thigh, you can always bend the back knee. Maybe if you're feeling really, really brave, you can reach back with left or right hand, doesn't matter, and pull the heel towards the glute. If this is like, what, Kate? I don't think this is anything I want to do today, you don't have to. You can stay in the pigeon or the deer shape position. Just giving you options if you want them. Good. So we'll bring that left leg forward and in front, and we're going to bring both soles of the feet together in our butterfly position, and you can bounce the knees up and down. So just waking up the hips, waking up the hip flexors, so warming them up a little bit, or essentially cooling them down as well if they've been doing a lot of activity. Just keeping a nice, gentle bounce in the legs and breathing. When you get to that position, when you think, okay, I'm done, just stop the bounce. Maybe folding forward. So if you quite like that stretch down the back line of the body, you can fold in. Your head never ever has to reach your toes. In fact, you might just want to tuck your chin to your chest, rounding the spine. And if you do have your blocks or anything that's there as support, you may want to bring those underneath the thighs as support so that when you do fold in, you're actually supported in this position. So whichever variation works best for your body. Good, curling up nice and steady. Take your time, you can move any props. We'll extend the left leg out to the left side. Now I really like this inner thigh sort of stretching when we're kind of very linear with running, cycling, everything's forward. We forget to stretch out these really important inner thigh muscles. So we can reach and we can move this one if this feels nice. We can open and close, coming into this lovely twisty sort of side stretch position, getting into the QL, and just explore where it feels good. Just stretch your body. You can hold positions, so hold the side stretch or hold that kind of fold over, or you can keep the movement going. So give yourself the freedom to feel into your body. It doesn't have to be so rigid. Good, take another breath. Now we're going to come into a little bit of a twist. So you can just twist, left hand can go to right knee and twist, maybe looking over the back shoulder. I quite like bringing this into the mermaid variation. So you can bend that left knee, walk your hands round the right side and twist as much as you feel your body can. This encourages the entire spiral lines to get a lovely twist. You can even drop down onto the forearms if that feels nice, and twist all the way around as deeply as your body would like to. Just be mindful of what you're experiencing in your body today. And then we'll come back round nice and slowly. Make your way onto your hands and your knees and just start to move into some cat-cows, some hip wiggles. Just get a little bit of mobility going through your entire body. Even though we think, oh, I'm cycling or I'm running, I'm using mostly my lower body, our entire bodies are interconnected. And we also want to learn to let things go. So it's relaxing, not always feeling so rigid, so linear with our practice. Good. Now you can step one foot back and push back and stretch out that calf. Or you can come into downward facing dog. We're still going to get the calf muscles. You can pedal through, which feels really lovely. A nice walk through your feet, moving and mobilizing into your body, and checking that you're still breathing. I hope you are still breathing. If you're doing one leg and then the other, you can then extend the other leg. And you can also play with a three-legged down dog. So lift a leg up, mobilize the hip. Just see what happens to the underneath leg as you do this. You're getting a nice hamstring stretch. Just feeling into your body. Good. And then we'll walk our feet towards the hands. Dangle pose. And you can bend your knees, release the back of your head,
Oh, take a moment here. Breathing nice and slowly. We'll do a 3-way hamstring stretch because we've got 3 hamstrings, believe it or not. So we're going to cross the right foot all the way over to the outside of the left foot. Now, if you do need your blocks or anything extra height to give you a bit of leverage here, you can. And your foot can actually touch down into the floor, so you don't have to have that kind of balancing act where we're trying to balance on one leg. So you've got that foot that goes all the way to the outer edge of the left foot, and then you get to sink into that left hip. This is going to get the lateral hamstring, so you'll feel it all the way down the outer edge of that left hamstring. Just keep breathing. Good. Then we're going to take that right foot and we're going to take it to the top of your mat slightly and turn the foot out. You can then turn out your back foot as well, and we can fold forward here. So this is getting your medial hamstrings, which again you'll feel straight away, just from simply turning out your feet. And don't turn them out so far that your knees are pointing one direction and your toes are pointing another. Keeping them nicely in line with the knees. It's not about how far they turn out, but they just need to turn out enough that you can actually feel the medial hamstrings stretching. So the inside of the leg, of the hamstrings. And then we'll turn our feet parallel and come back to that forward fold. Maybe legs straight, maybe knees bent. Check in with what works for your body. You can play with both, bending and straightening. Good. And then curling up nice and slowly all the way back up. Arms can reach up to the sky, take a lovely big stretch. And then we'll come back down. Chin to chest, rolling back down. I'm going to step back with that right leg into that lunge position. If you need your blocks again, take your blocks and you can move around and just mobilize into the hips. So have a bit of play. Feel the thigh muscles getting a stretch. Just recognize where you might find tension in your body. Good. And then we'll push the weight back so that our right hip is stacked over our right knee. Hands can come to the hips. And we'll just tuck the tailbone under. And that should get a little stretch to the front of the right hip flexor. You might need to just push that hip slightly forward so you get a feeling a little bit more into that front of the hip flexor. Depends which side is the tighter side. Some sides are tighter than others. For me, my right side is more flexible than my left. I think I'm left-footed. I think I use my left leg more than my right. So just encouraging that awareness of the stretch in your body. And then we can release the hands back down and move again. Don't worry if your knee goes over your toes. It's designed to do that. So be kind to your body. And then we can shift our blocks forward. We'll come into either our pigeon pose. So again, extending that right leg back, left knee in line kind of with the left wrist. And then we take that foot a little bit out to the side. So it can be about 35-degree angle, maximum maybe 45, but don't have to get it at 90. It's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get that nice glute to stretch out a little bit. And then if we want to, we can also drop into the deer shape. So if pigeon pose doesn't work for you, come into deer, where we have that leg kind of in a hurdle shape. And again, you can move into this here, have a little play. If you're in deer position, pigeon pose, you can also tuck the right toes, lift the right knee, get an extra stretch through the hip flexor. Feels amazing. Or you can bend the knee, catch the foot, maybe pull the heel in. Just be mindful of your knees. This is not about how much can I do, but does it feel nice for my body? Could take another breath. And we'll sweep that right leg forward, coming into that butterfly position, and again, just bouncing the knees a little bit. Wake them up.
A little bit of movement here. You might feel it up into the psoas muscle region, which was really nice. And you can pause the bounce, maybe fold forward. Just taking a few moments to breathe here. Again, if you need any support underneath the knees with your blocks or cushions, just make sure that you're taking what is required for your body. As we come back up, nice and steady, extending out the right leg, drawing in the left, reaching towards that right foot and maybe moving into that side stretch, maybe that forward fold, so you're twisting in, getting the QL, so that big muscle in your back. And just exploring what this feels like for your body. You don't have to move. You can stay still and just explore the stillness and what it feels like to hold the position, or you can mobilize and move. Especially if you have just done a load of exercise and you're like, oh, I really need to be still. You might just want to be still. Or if you're warming up, you might be dynamically moving in and out, waking up the muscles. Good, we'll come back up into that twist. We have two variations. We can take the right hand across to the left knee and twist, or my favorite variation, deer shape, creating that deer shape position, so it's a mermaid twist, and then walking your hands all the way round towards the left side, feeling the entire spine get that release. Feels so good. You might even get a crick and a crack like I just did. You can also come down onto your forearms if that feels really lovely. Keep breathing. Whatever you do, just keep breathing. And then make your way back up nice and slowly, coming onto your hands and your knees. So you can move into cat-cows, so just up and down with the spine. You can mobilize the entire body here. So don't feel you're limited just to moving your spine. You can move your fingers, your hands. So if you've been on a bike and you've been gripping, maybe getting a stretch through the hands, the wrists, have an explore. It doesn't have to be just one way, and it doesn't have to just look like what I'm doing. You get this little moment of time after doing your exercise routine to actually enjoy just being in your body, or that moment before you practice, getting aware of what your body is saying before you make any movements. Now you might stretch back one leg, then the other, or you may come into that downward facing dog position. And you can pedal through the feet, stretching all the way down the line. Don't worry about your down dog being perfect. We're thinking about stretching and mobilizing the body. Push your hands into the ground so you're allowing that effort of pushing into the floor. And if you're in that tabletop pose, maybe extend the other leg back. Nice stretch here. And then we'll walk our feet or step our feet up into the center of the mat. Forward fold, maybe bend the knees or straighten the legs. It's completely up to you, depending on what's going on in your back. If you do need a block here, or a couple of blocks, or even a table or a chair, grab what you might need if you feel a lot of stretch in your hamstrings. The more we bend our knees and lift our sit bones up to the sky, the more you'll feel the stretch in the hamstring if we're tight. If you are quite tight and you straighten your legs, you might find your spine rounds. So just be aware of what you're trying to stretch. If you want to stretch the back line of the body, then this is going to be great, rounding the spine and stretching the back line of the body. But if you want a bit more hamstrings, bend your knees, lift your sit bones up to the sky, let your head dangle. So the left foot's going to go to the outside of the right, crossing it over and sinking into that right hip. You can fold in as much as you want to, or as little as you want to, even coming up onto the thigh if that feels quite a hefty amount of stretching for your lateral right hamstring. We often only ever do one hamstring, the central one, bicep femoris. We've got 3, and we want to stretch all of them. Okay, coming back to the center, we're going to turn the left toes out, and then turn the right toes out. I'm not good at ballet. Was that third position or something like that? And then we fold forward. Or fourth or something. God, I can't remember. Long time since I've done ballet. Was never my forte.
So remember, if you need this block for support, you can take that. So you have that there to help you feel like you're not going to fall over. You can also just lean onto the thigh. Depends on your flexibility, you may have slightly bent knees. So encourage awareness rather than torture in your body. Good, we'll step our feet back to the top of the mat. Maybe one little more fold in. And we'll curl all the way up, softening at the knees. Reach the arms up to the sky, take a big stretch. Good, and we'll bring the arms down to the sides of the body. So we're going to drop the right ear towards the right shoulder, reaching the left fingertips away. If you want a bit more, take the right hand and just gently press it to the outside of either the left ear or the side of the head, and breathe. Try to relax the jaw and breathe through the nose. Releasing the hand to lift the head, we'll bring this left arm under and the right arm over, and either just grab hold of the shoulders and pull the elbows forward, or you can bring the palms together, so we're in this eagle shape pose, and lift the elbows up and push the hands away. If your body cannot do this, this position is great. It's exactly the same thing. You can try and make your way there, and that's great. You're still getting the same benefits as even if you're in this variation or this variation. Let's take another breath. Now imagine you're just taking off a jumper. You bring the arms up and over and circle the shoulders. Oh, crick, crack, crick, crack. Let's do it one more time. Circle the shoulders. Good. Reaching the right fingertips away, left ear, left shoulder. Left hand may come to the outside of the right ear. Once we get a nice stretch here, down the right side of the neck. Try and breathe nice and slowly in and out through the nose. We're not yanking, but we are expanding. As you release the head, we'll bring that right arm. It's going to come under as we grab the arms around. Oh, over. I was like, what did I do on the other side? And we'll pull the elbows forward. This is where my left and rights are shocking. Now, if you can bring the hands together and push up and over. So we get that lovely stretch all the way through the backs of the shoulders. I'm now not convinced that was the right way. I'm just going to do both. And then as if we're taking off that t-shirt, bring the arms over the head, taking off the t-shirt or the jumper. Let's do it again. Rotate, up and around. Good, and come into that cactus shape with the arms. Feet can go a little bit wider, soften your knees, and just twist left and right. Try not to let your hips go. So keep your hips in the center and just give yourself a little bit of a left and right twist. Your head can go with you or it can stay in the center. Releasing the spine. Keep pushing the elbows backwards when we twist. Back, 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 back. If this is too strong on your arms, you can always flatten the palms down. Do the same thing. Good. Or you can even straighten the arms out. Quite like all variations, to be honest. Good. And then we'll reach the arms all the way up, big stretch, and we'll fold forward, a little bit wider legged forward fold position. And you can dangle here, maybe bend, straighten the legs, wiggle the hips around. Doesn't matter how far you get. If your hands do not touch the floor, it is absolutely fine. We're not trying to touch the floor. I've just got really weird long arms, so my arms do touch the floor. Good, so we'll make our way back to the top of the mat, bring the knees back down to the floor, and sweep the legs all the way forward. We're going to make our way onto our backs. Crossing the right ankle over the left thigh and just play with mobilizing into that hip. Trying to move from the hip joint, not the knee. And you might pause in this position here, in that figure 4. Maybe just pulling in the left knee. That might feel quite nice. Maybe wrapping the arms. Right arm goes through the gap between the legs and underneath the left
hamstring or shin, and the left arm goes around the outside, and just where it feels interesting. You can again move, you can rock, or you can stay still. Okay, we'll drop the left foot back down to the floor, and we'll cross the right leg all the way over the left, all the way over, and then drop it into a nice twist. Lovely. If you want that left hand just to press down on the outside of the right leg, getting a little bit more, you can. And it's okay if this left shoulder does not touch the floor. Breathe. Coming back to the center nice and slowly. Unravel. Maybe just shake out that right leg. Give it a good old wiggle. And then place the foot back down to the floor. Left foot's going to cross over and again mobilize into the hip. A little bit of movement here. Maybe pausing in that figure four. Maybe drawing the right knee in. Maybe the left hand goes through the gap around shin or hamstring as we guide it in. Try not to lift the bum away from the ground, not because it's wrong, but because we're going to lose the stretch where we really want it. We don't want to take it into the back. You might also want to rock a bit side to side here. It feels quite nice. Good, maybe then releasing that right foot back down to the floor, just give the left leg a little bit of a shake. So just shake it out, give it a wiggle. Good, maybe cross it all the way over and take it to that twist. So the left leg is crossed over the right and we twist all the way over to the right side. Breathe. Your right hand might want to press to the outside of the left leg if you need a little bit extra leverage, a little bit more, but you don't need to. Gently arriving back to the center. Maybe both legs go up, give them a shake. And if you're at the end of your practice, you might just want to leave your legs dangling up into the sky. Blood flow traveling from the toes. You can always rest your legs up against a wall or a chair. Or just let them float up into the sky for a couple of breaths. Now we'll bend the knees in, coming back up to our seat. Now for those of us that are quite flexible in the thighs, this is a great position to come into. If you're not, and you can't even stretch onto the feet, please don't worry. You can ignore this next pose and move on. Or we've got variations. So if you find it hard to sit on your feet in the first place, maybe just sitting on your feet is enough. Maybe you need a block in between so you can sit up, so you have a bit of space, so that your ankles have a little bit of space. If you know that this is not great for your knees, you can do this on your belly and just pull your heels towards your glutes as much as they can, and that's enough. So you're actually strengthening the hamstrings to release the quadriceps. This is a great variation. So that's really great if you know that your knees are not liking the pressure by sitting. You can walk your hands backwards, maybe create a little saddle for your feet, for your bum, and tuck the tailbone and push the hips forward. So you feel straight away that stretch go all the way down the quadriceps. If you want a bit more, you might want to come down onto your forearms if that is available for your body. If you're very bendy, but please note, I want you to be able to get up because I can't help you. I'm not there. This is virtual. I'm not there to be able to pick you up off the floor. So if you can come all the way down onto the ground, maybe the arms go over the head, just be mindful that you're going to have to find your way back up or shout for help. I won't be able to hear you, so there's got to be someone in the room or someone in the house. So we can come here and we feel that stretch. You can still tuck your tailbone and push your hips forward. But if this is going to be impossible, if it's like, then just stay somewhere where you can manage the discomfort, whether it's on the elbows or on the hands, and breathe. So go for a sensational response that you can manage and keep that awareness. Good. One more breath wherever we might be, whether on our bellies, on our backs, or right here with me. And then ease your way back up. Take your time to come all the way back up, nice and gently. We're going to bring the hands forward, tuck the toes, push the weight back into the feet for one final little fold, and curl up slowly, all the way up to standing. Good. Coming back to stand in our mountain pose, checking in with our bodies. Whether we're ready to move on into our spin, whatever we're doing, running, we're ready now. Or whether we're like, okay, I'm now ready to go and have a shower and relax. Just take that moment to breathe and focus on how we're feeling in this moment right here before we move on. Let's take one final stretch together. Inhale, reach the arms up, bring the palms to connect, and exhale the hands to the heart center. Just bow your head forward and thank yourself for giving yourself time to stretch, to recover, or to prep for the movement ahead. Thank you very much, everybody, and I hope to see you soon.